The meltdown is continuing. How are players dealing with Spider-Man as a sealed product? What's happening in the singles market? And how does this compare against other sealed products? Let's take a look. Stay tuned. For a lot of players out there, Spider-Man looks like a total disaster. It is a sinking Titanic and the value has left. But there's a lot more going on than just lost value when it comes to products like this. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thank you again for hanging out today for another video. Yeah, we're discussing Spider-Man, and most players are pretty exhausted with this topic already, even though it's still a new release. But when you see the prices dropping this way and you see what's happening in the singles market, it's time to do a deeper dive and see what's going on. So, first off, yes, Spider-Man prices are still retracing. Things are still falling down. But as those prices fall, we've seen an uptick in the sales. Not just singles, but also with the sealed product, particularly looking at the collector boxes. Now, if I jump over and share with you guys the collector boxes from TCG Player, you can see that the lowest ones now fall into the 400 range. They're around the 498, and the highest ones are still around the 529, and there's a lot of sales in between. Now, TCG Player, of course, using these viewpoints is not the only way to go, because when you're looking at TCG Player, you're not just looking at stores, you're looking at individual sellers, scalpers, investors, flippers. They all got caught, they're all getting burned, and they're all paying the price of when an investment goes bad. And if they bet big, chances are they've lost big already, and they're just trying to recoup what they can and get out of the market. That leaves a lot of opportunity, though, for the bigger fish out there to gobble up the smaller, the smaller retailers, the smaller individual people who were trying to make a go of this. And now we're getting back to where the players take control. That's what's happening with the single side of the market. But it's not all, because when you jump over to the local level of any area you're in, you're going to see a differential in the prices. You're not going to see the same price you're seeing on TCG Player. You could see actually lower, which means it's below MSRP and the people are panicking, or you're going to see stores that have a stable income that can afford to let the product sit to see how it really settles over the next 12 to 24 months, and if any singles hit synergy and become these big, huge cards that cause people to want to open boxes again. And that's why you're going to see higher prices. And by the way, this is from 401 Games here in Toronto. It's the cheapest one in my local area at $799.95, which puts it at around the $530 mark if you're in the US. Okay, that's the kind of comparative. Now, what I also think about is when you see the prices, the way they're moving, and you see the way the singles are being picked up now, the appetite for the singles is in no way diminished. People can say what they want about the set not being big enough, not being powerful enough, prices are too high. But when it hits the right price point for a player, that's when the market starts to bite. And you see a lot of single cards leaving. Now again, that's still going to have flippers, scalpers, investors, okay? But you also have a lot of players. And when commander players, which are by far the largest demographic of the game, when they go en masse and start eating up cards for deck construction ideas they have on their radar, you are going to see massive sales, and the sales will continue, especially if the prices are low. Everyone likes to save a few bucks, and when you see a card come in at 50 and it drops to 20, and now you can get it for 8, well, you're going to see people saying this is an opportunity now for cards I've always wanted to own that they kind of caught my eye, and I can get it for like pennies on the dollar, and that's where they dive in. Now, how does this compare though? How does this compare to other markets with other collector boxes? We've talked about the singles, we've talked about the sealed product for Spider-Man. When you look at the Play Booster boxes, by the way, they're not really selling right now, okay? A couple of boxes a week for most stores, and it's really broken down by packs on Friday Night Magic. So keep that in mind. You're not buying tons of boxes for opening. It's individual players buying single packs that are adding up to a single box at a time. So if we compare, though, to other products, take a look at Edge of Eternities. Now, this product is settling in right now, and remember, this has been out for a while. You're at 370, 380, somewhere in there, the high being 390. Now, the market for this one is still quite brisk considering where we are in the release schedule. People are still buying boxes, and the funny thing is, a lot of boxes are still being cracked open. Now, if you were here in Canada, that means these boxes would be around 550, but guess what? Most stores in Canada are completely sold out. They don't have anything left. You've got to go on places like TCG Player, Card Kingdom. You've got to go to bigger retailers to try to find these products. And it's very unlikely you're going to find any in Canada, at least. You'd have to have them over in the US or overseas. Edge of Eternities really broke the mold on how players saw the product and what they thought was going to happen. But this, of course, is just, a middle ground in-house IP that did exceptionally well based on the card mechanics and the way the set unfolded. If we go to a really big set, if we jump over to Final Fantasy, of course, Spider-Man does not compare. They are not in the same realm, and players have obviously decided that Spider-Man is a far inferior product to what we got for Final Fantasy, and the player base has spoken. I'm not talking about the collectors, investors, I'm talking about the players. The players have stated in their minds, I'm not buying these cards, I want these cards. These are the ones I think are better. These are the ones that fit better in my deck construction. These are the ones that feel like they have better synergy and the playability factor. So Final Fantasy, although it doesn't sell as much or as often right now, it has a huge price tag attached to it. And we know how many boxes got opened, and there's not as much left as people realize. They think, oh, it's on shelves still, you can still pick it up. No, most stores don't have anything in stock. You cannot pick it up. You cannot just walk in and buy an entire box. And when packs cost you $150 a pack, it seems like that's an insane price tag to pay. But there's a lot of valuable cards inside the set. There's a lot of cards people like to utilize. And as this set fades from memory, we have to remember that Final Fantasy, again, although it's being bought, it is not being cracked open. There is still a massive abundance of cards in the market. There is no reason to jackknife a whole bunch of new boxes, crack everything open, and inundate the market with a whole bunch of more cards. You can leave that all on the sidelines. These are now players that are going to sit there, put a few boxes in their backdrop, and call it a day. But that leads to another problem with single prices over the next 12 months, because even if Wizards of the Coast reprints it and brings new stock to market, how many distributors have people on the books wanting it? How many stores are still trying to pick it up when they've got to deal with Avatar, Lorwyn, and into 2026, new Marvel sets? Hobbit. There's new things coming that players and stores are well aware of, so the money moves on yet again and leaves these cards sitting in the dust. And when you leave them in the dust and nobody wants them, there's no reason to reprint, and then you get price correction. Now let's drive that price correction idea back to Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man is not going to get reprinted. There's no reason to. There's cards readily available. The market hasn't really dived in and said they love the product. It isn't sold out everywhere. So if it's readily available, not sold out, there is no drive to reprint. If there is no drive to reprint, then it doesn't get reprinted, which means if you have a box you're sitting on, you're probably going to do okay and enjoy that box, and it's not going to get a reprint, so there's less stock out there, which means the value of your box is likely going to go up. Not guaranteed, but likely. When you have the collector box of Spider-Man going below 500, and you see the sales that I just showed you continuing on during this meltdown period where people are like, it's negative. That meltdown period is people consolidating. They're taking strong positions and betting on the future of them coming out ahead. Yes, tons of people got burned. No doubt about it. I know some of them. Burned badly, and they still are putting out the fire in some cases, the singe that is going on. But in the long term, will they come out ahead or will they fall below? That's the real question. But when it comes to the Play Booster boxes and other products from Spider-Man, they're probably just not going to get a reprint. Like we've seen in the past, if a product doesn't do well, they just end it early and say, look, there's still stuff here. Distribution's telling us nobody wants it. There's no point in reprinting. We can just leave this on the sideline and call it a day because there's no reason to go ahead with another printing and cost us money. Even as cheap as it is to reprint, there's no reason. The cards don't have value. And when they want to reprint these cards in the future in some Master Series set, it actually benefits them by not reprinting. Because if they don't reprint, those few cards that do have value will rise faster, which can allow them to tap into that IP for future value, future resale. That is something they really like to indulge in when they get going. They're building that right now, by the way. We've talked about this in the past. There's no Master Series sets, no crazy reprint schedule sets right now, other than what we've seen in Secret Lair. So they are building up a new inventory of cards that are going to have value over the next several years before they bring back another Master Series set, which will cost an arm and a leg, probably about $800-900 a box for a, whatever they decide to put together, a 24-pack box, and then they'll have collector boxes like $1,500 because they'll have such value, supposedly a trained inside those boxes. That's just what I'm thinking they're going to do because of how they've chopped up their schedule and how we have a lack of these Master Series sets right now. Keep it in mind. Anyway, Spider-Man, meltdown period, but there's stuff happening in the backdrop. A glut of singles moving in the market constantly tells you people are still buying the cards as the price drops. And if there's no desire to reprint, if there's nobody buying in the secondary market for sealed boxes, there's no point in reprinting, which is going to just hijack the single prices in the future. Something to keep in mind. Thank you again for hanging out. Thanks for being here on the channel today. I hope you found this video fun and informative. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel because I put out new content every single day. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow with another video. Well, here we go. We're at the end of the video yet again, and I'm saying thank you. Thank you to my patrons, my YouTube membership members for continued support here on the channel. It's funny looking at all this information day over day, week over week, month over month, and year over year to see how much this market continues to evolve. And it's because of the patrons and YouTube membership members we get to talk about this each and every day. So thanks again. Shop smart, shop S-smart. A happy boomstick. See you tomorrow. We've seen this before. It's not over. And this is where people have to realize that ignoring something doesn't make it go away. What do you guys think was going to happen? When you look, when nobody wants something, something's not collectible unless it's rare. And there's a market that desires that collectible. How is this going to pan out in the next 3 or 4 years when it finally cycles out and nobody can find it? People will ignore it. There'll be people who always hate it. But there will be segments that love it, desire it, and want to get it. Especially if it's rare and hard to find. People with big bucks, people who just dream. You can't ignore stuff like this. You just have to take it as a piece of information. Put it with just a pinch of disbelief. And say, how do I value something like this in the future? What cards do I want? What singles do I think I need? What color wheel am I playing with? What magic cards from Spider-Man fit into this wheel? It's like with any set. Put it on a spreadsheet. Look at the prices. Buy the ones you want. Gonna flip some boxes. Wait and see if the prices drop. They're still dropping now. But some people are going to come out ahead on this. It's not going to be me, but there will be people who do it. Guys, thanks a lot. Ramble in the Jamble is now over. We'll be back tomorrow. Huh. We come for your daughter, Chuck. Remember? Beetlejuice, yeah.